Just when you thought we were done with Star Wars The Acolyte, Amandla Stenberg decided to chime in by way of an 8 minutes long video. And over the course of that video, she inadvertently revealed just how suppressive the echo chamber is within her Hollywood and Lucasfilm bubble. Let's see what she said and what gave it away. So, on August 28th, Amandla Stenberg posted what appears to be a minimally edited video on X, where she addressed the recent cancellation of The Acolyte. While the tone couldn't be any more different than the diss track she earlier released against the series' detractors, much of the same sentiments were expressed. Obviously, she expressed gratitude to Leslye Headland and to Lucasfilm for the opportunity, and there is a sense of loss and sadness expressed throughout, which I can empathize with. I mean, she was playing a dual role in a Star Wars series. On paper, it should have been her meal ticket for years to come, but now it's completely up in the air if she'll ever reprise her roles, and if she does, where or when. A huge opportunity for her just got snatched away, and that obviously sucks. But who's to blame for it?
I'm gonna be transparent and say that it's not a huge shock for me. Of course, I live in the bubble of my own reality, but...
Hold it right there, and remember what she said. She lives in a bubble of her own reality. Just take note of that, because it will be important later on.
For those who aren't aware, there has been a rampage of vitriol that we have faced since the show was even announced, when it was still just a concept and when no one had even seen it.
You can argue the accuracy of the term vitriol, but there obviously was negativity, though it was aimed primarily at the concept itself and secondarily at Leslye Headland. Furthermore, you can argue the skepticism was justified, as the finished product was everything the detractors feared it was going to be.
And that's when we started experiencing a rampage of, I would say, hyper-conservative bigotry and vitriol, prejudice, hatred, and hateful language towards us.
You noticed all of that since the moment the series was announced? I won't argue that it may have felt that way for her, but this claim would have had more merit coming from Leslye Headland, as she was there since the series was first announced in 2020, whereas Amandla wasn't cast until 2022. But moving on, and jumping forward a bit, she speaks about being cast in Star Wars and dealing with the alleged hate she received for it.
And it brought up a lot for me, a lot socio-political dynamics, a lot about my own value system, how I respond to that kind of hatred, how I move through the world at large. And it just became inarguable for me at a certain point that in order to continue to be myself, I would have to honor my value system by being vocal even within the context of working for Disney and working within the large, massive IP that is Star Wars.
What I'm hearing here is someone who sees the world through an ideopolitical lens, where any criticism and skepticism about the project is interpreted as hate, and hate directed personally at her at that, because that is how she perceives the world. Tell me if you think I'm wrong in the comments, but to me, her glassy stare as she's saying all of this tells me why in the past she has claimed to receive so much hate, despite there being no public trace of that anyone else can see in social media. But if she interprets skepticism towards a show that promised from day one that it wasn't going to be the Star Wars that fans wanted, then that would explain some of the past statements that she's made. Jumping forward a bit, she thanks the fans of the show and lets it be known whom she believes were the real detractors of the show.
And I just want to let those people know out there who supported us in that way and supported us vocally despite and in the face of all of the vitriol that we received and the kind of the targeted attack, I would say, we received by the alt-right.
Okay, so the show's detractors came from the alt-right. It wasn't a majority of regular fans horrified with what has been done to Star Wars. No, it was the alt-right all along. Now, we're getting into the Hollywood mindset of how to cope with such a DEI series being rejected by the audience.
It's not lost on me how the way that these events have unfolded is also due to the hyper-divisiveness of the time that we live in, that is driven, I would say at this point, by echo chambers of thought and algorithms that reinforce our biases. And I think that applies to everybody.
That was very telling and very revealing at the same time, for two reasons. One, she knows that she is in an echo chamber. And two, she then judges the world from herself and her point of view, and then projects that everyone else are in their echo chambers as well, especially the show's detractors.
That is driven, I would say at this point, by echo chambers of thought and algorithms that reinforce our biases. And I think that applies to everybody. But I think that in a particular sect of people, it manifests as a lot of fear for what is changing and a lot of hatred for anything that is other.
There may be some minor element of truth to that everyone is in their own echo chamber, depending on where you are and what kind of information you seek out. But where Amandla is concerned, she's not just in an echo chamber. It's far worse than that, because she's also in a bubble. A bubble where, as you heard, blaming algorithms is used as a thought-stopping mechanism. We have covered this before, as Kevin Smith, another Hollywood bubble dweller, revealed this when he was dealing with a woke failure of his own. Masters of the Universe Revelation was hated by the fans, and showrunner Kevin Smith initially did realize that, right up until someone else inside the bubble gave him an intervention and told him to stop believing his lying eyes, because it was just the algorithms. To illustrate this point and see the parallels with Amandla Stenberg, let's take a moment to revisit our video of December 2nd, 2021 of Kevin Smith rationalizing away the backlash over Masters of the Universe Revelation. So far we've established that there was a backlash, and it took Kevin Smith completely by surprise. Now is where he should have been talking about how this made him do some soul searching and contemplate where they went wrong and draw some lessons from it so this never happens again.
You serious?
Yeah, notice how I emphasized should have been in the past never tense, because that didn't happen. Here's what Kevin Smith actually said. Malcolm calls me out of the blue. He texted me first and he goes, "Hey, congrats, you've got the most talked about show on the planet right now. It's getting great reviews and everybody loves it. You must be so happy." I immediately put down everything I was doing and call Malcolm to be like, "Is that your read of the situation?" He's like, "Yeah, all I see is positivity and stuff. What are you seeing?" I was like, "All I'm seeing is people that hate my guts." And he's like, "Well, stop clicking on negative things." And I was like, "So, Malcolm, is your perspective from outside of this that I shouldn't kill myself?" He's like, "No, I think you're fine. I think anybody would be enviable of the amount of coverage the show is getting. I'm gonna watch it now, the reviews have been great." What just happened there was Kevin Smith relaying how he was told to ignore the real-world feedback from the actual built-in target audience the series supposedly was made for, and instead focus on the positive reviews from within the Hollywood bubble and from their friends in the entertainment media complex, who incidentally are also bubble dwellers. Kevin Smith and Amandla Stenberg are actually revealing the same mindset here, the mindset of the Hollywood bubble dwellers. It wasn't the audience that rejected their shows. No, it was the ultra-conservative alt-right. They're just more visible because of the algorithm. Something which, if you think about it, don't really jive with the Acolyte being cancelled over lack of viewership. But that's the mindset and coping mechanism inside the bubble. And here I will credit Amandla, because even if she thinks everyone else is as well, she actually realizes that she is indeed in a bubble.
I would challenge us all, and challenge myself, to continue questioning what it is that I digest, and think critically about what shapes it. And let's vote, y'all. Let's vote.
Yeah, let's do that. While I appreciate her not telling her fans how to vote, I do hope she will come to realize that the division of her land isn't caused by algorithms only, and maybe look into what or who else may be driving it before she votes. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments.